Hi, hello. This is Esther Marina. I am a Puerto Rican writer aspiring to be a hybrid author, and today I come with some podcast recommendations. So this is gonna be either 2 parts or 3 parts depending how long the video is. I'm gonna start recommending writing podcasts. This is not all of the podcasts that I listened, not even counting the one-off episodes that I listened, because either is a literary agent that I'm interested in hearing their knowledge in the business, or a author that I already follow, or that I recently read their books and I'm kind of like in sort of in love with them, so I'm like hunting for interviews and things like that. So I'm just gonna share 4 podcasts for trad pub and for indie pop. So this is the kind of like disclaimer. I haven't listened to all of the episodes on all of these podcasts. A lot of these podcasts have easy 50 episodes at the very least. So it's at this point with a lot of them is nearly, and some of them have multiple seasons. So at this point, it's nearly impossible for me to listen to all of the episodes. And again, I prioritize the ones that have people that I want to actually listen to what they have to say. So there's that. Hopefully none of them have like problematic episodes, but you never know. Someone that got interview a couple of years ago could turn problematic in the future. I don't have control of time nor how people behave, so keep that in mind. So I'm gonna start with some trad recommendations. The first one, and this is one that it's kind of recent, and I say kind of recent, like I will say it's maybe a year old or a little bit over a year old, but it has such great interviews and it has such a great variety of authors and editors and literary agents that and the host, their personality is just so endearing. So I'm talking of The Publishing Persuasion by Melanie Schubert and Angela Montoya. Just so you know, Angela Montoya Sinners Isle book is releasing this year. I don't remember if it has a date, but I know it's releasing 2023, so check her out. Again, this is kind of like a newer, they met, if I remember correctly, through Hitman, and form a very endearing and funny friendship. Melanie is from Australia and Angela, it lives in the US. And by her name you can guess she is Hispanic, and they are, both of them have very bright and very expressive personalities, and I adore their interactions. They made their interviews so much fun, and again, they have such a variety of industry people coming in. It's wonderful. I really like that podcast. The second podcast that I would like to recommend is Deadline City by Soraya Cordova and Danielle Clayton. They are very well known, very seasoned, traditionally published authors. They range from like YA to adult I don't know if any of them have middle grade. They may have. I'm not 100% sure. And their podcast is more of their experience as traditionally published authors. And they don't sugarcoat things, which is one of the reasons I love their podcast. They're very honest, they're very raw, and they try to be very hopeful for newer authors and newer writers too. So it's not such a grim podcast. It's not. They don't say that it's all sunshines and flowers, but they also let you know that it's not all dark and grimy and horrible and anything like that. Like there's some good things and there's some bad things, and they share it all. They're very honest with their experience. The third podcast that I will recommend, and this one is already done. As far I'm pretty sure they won't release any more seasons, but they have like 3 or 4 seasons, and they do have a variety of like authors and literary agents. I think they have a few editors interviews. I think they have a few indie author interviews too. So we're talking about the Ride or Die podcast by Claribel A. Ortega and Cacho. They're fantastic. This is another writer's friendship that is so adorable and so endearing. Both of them are women of color. Both of them write. Claribel writes middle grade, Kat writes YA, and they do lean into their cultural backgrounds and kind of like taking some of those folklores and myths from their own culture to create such magical and so endearing and so beautiful books. So check the podcast out, check their books out, highly recommend. And then the last podcast for Trap Pop that I will recommend is Writing Excuses. If you are a Brandon Sanderson kind of like fan, you probably have heard of Writing Excuses. He used to be part of the host of those, but I think after season 13 or season 14, he like what happens with a lot of authors, they get really busy. So he's not a host anymore, but the podcast is still going on. They have 18 seasons so far. So Writing Excuses is hosted by Mary Robinette Cole, Dongwon Song, Erin Roberts, Dan Wells, and Howard Taylor. I'm pretty sure all of them are traditionally published authors. There might be a hybrid Indian in there, and I think, let me make sure, because I think Dongwon is a agent. So yes, I remember right. Dongwon is a literary agent, and he recently is turned into a permanent cast for Writing Excuses, as well as Erin Roberts, and I think Erin Roberts is a writer, an author. So yeah, those are 4 of the many podcasts that are around about writing and traditional published world and authorship and all that. So those are my recommendations. And now for indie writers, authors out there, I have 4 suggestions. Let's start with the first one. This podcast, it's not releasing anymore. They already done with all of the episodes and seasons they wanted to do. And I'm talking about Six Figure Authors with Lindsay Buracher, Joe Lello, and Andrea Pearson. this is really, even if they are not releasing any more episodes, there's so many nuggets and so many great episodes with such great information that it's just, I could not share it, not recommend it. So if you haven't, just to let you know, I will link all of this podcast on the description. Some of them are like watchable podcasts, and some of them are just like normal listening ones. So definitely, if you are a indie author and you kind of like want to get more information, free information, and really great information about how to build your career up to that 6-figure kind of thing, check out Six Figure Author podcast. Also, the second recommendation is The Creative Pen by Joanna Pan. She is wonderful. She gives a wide variety of things author related. Not only she has many books, fiction and nonfiction, she brings a lot of knowledgeable people into her podcast. So definitely recommend it. There might be something there for you to learn. The third podcast that I will recommend is Written in Melanin by C.M. Lockhart. This is such a great podcast if you are a person of color, if you're a woman of color, if you are a Black author, and you are a woman. This is highly recommended. Not only has a lot of great information, it's one of those very honest and hopeful podcasts. Is kind of like, it's hard to be very hopeful when you are a person of color. That's just it takes a lot of work to get there. And I think the author and the host of the which is an author, does a great job of keeping it real, keeping it informative, but keeping it positive too. I enjoy. There's a few episodes. Again, I haven't heard everything, but there's a few episodes that were really that I needed to hear. That's bottom line. And then this is the fourth one is a recently found. I mean, I have heard of this, but I haven't heard. When I heard of it, I haven't heard enough episodes, and at this point I have a good amount of episodes listened to it. So is the Self-Publishing Authors podcast, aka the SPA podcast. It is by Trudy J, Cheryl Phipps, Wendy Vela, and Charbard. They are New Zealand indie authors, and they do share a lot of their knowledge, their experience. They do share a lot of great information. That's the recommendation. So that's it for podcast recommendations for authors and writers. Whether you want to go traditional route or the indie route, there's a recommendation there for you. So if you listen to podcasts and they are like writing related, they can be reading related too, let me know down in the comments so I can check if I get more recommendations and get like new podcasts to listen. If any of this podcast you already are a listener and you have a favorite episode, please leave that recommendation on the comments down below for myself and for anyone who is watching and checking down in the comments. And yeah, hopefully I will see you guys on the next video. Like this video if you enjoy podcast recommendations or just general recommendations. Subscribe if you would like to be in the know when I release writing blogs, sitting down videos like this one's, goals videos, and the occasional live that I just do when I feel like it. Highly recommend to subscribe and join the community. And thank you for watching. I'll see you later. Bye.